you told me that when you launched, you initially got the first group of clients through your own network, right? You spent a lot of time going to industry events, conferences, talking to people, right? So you weren't just hiding behind your computer, which is something that I think far too often people do these days. And so you were well kind of, tapped into what was actually happening in the marketplace. And so you said to people, hey, I'm going to be going out on my own. This is my area of expertise. People said, hey, we could probably benefit from you. But a lot of that initially was through subcontracting. What was your experience like being a subcontractor? What did you like about it? What did you maybe not like about it so much?
The good news was that there was business already out there. These were other businesses, generally larger businesses that had potential consulting projects that I could tap into and do my type of work working with them. The downside is that, you don't control those projects. We don't have the authority to, do certain things on the project because we have a very specific contract with them. They have the contract with the end client. It also led to some, and continues to lead to some, you could almost call it frustration in that because they own the client, I can't claim that client as my own reference. Their firm claims that client as a reference. It would be kind of a breach of the agreement I typically have with them if I claim that client as a reference directly because I was working through their firm. I actually have a drawer full of business cards from probably a half dozen other well-known large firms that I've done work on their behalf. And so their clients have seen me as members of their team as opposed to me working as Envisage Consulting, which is my firm.
Does that mean that with the agreements that you've signed with these other companies, because you are the subcontractor in your specific situation and with that specific agreement, that you're not able to put, for example, the logo of those companies on your website or mention them by name on your website? Is that kind of what you're referring to?
Every subcontractor agreement's a little different. Each of those companies kind of has their own rules about things, but that's some of it. I mean, I think some of it is just kind of the awkwardness of what could happen from that. Because, for example, if I worked with a large company through another large consulting firm, they brought me in as someone to run a project for them, and I did that, and that client sees me as working for that firm. Then, okay, year 2, 3, 4 years go by, and I want to use that person as a reference for another prospective client. It gets complicated because you kind of have to explain, well, in Visid, my firm didn't book that work directly. We were working for this other firm, and they're the ones that have that relationship, and they would see it as an affront if we try to make direct contact with that end client. It's not our place to do that in a lot of those most of those situations. And so they really don't want you reaching out to their client directly after the project is over.
You shared with me as well that over the last few years, you've been transitioning the business away from only doing kind of subcontracting work to a higher percentage of business being actual, direct client business, meaning that you're no longer subcontracting, right? You've kind of won the client directly. And you told me that one of the most effective ways that you're currently generating those new leads and, bringing opportunities into your pipeline is through this referral program that you have, which I thought was very interesting. So can you just explain to everybody, how does that work? How do you actually get people to send you referrals, to send you opportunities? And then is there compensation? If so, what does that look like? Just kind of run through it.
Sure. Well, I've been on the receiving end of referral programs from other businesses for quite some time, even before I had my own firm. And I discovered that, almost all of them are these formal agreements that they expect you to sign, and they can be complex from a legal standpoint. And I just started asking myself why. A referral is just a tip. It's a tip to go after a piece of business, and there's no need to overcomplicate that. If I can structure something where I get a tip from someone about a potential consulting engagement. We book that engagement and I pay that person a portion, like a a referral fee or commission, whatever you want to call it, for my paid consulting fees, then that's a win-win. And you don't need to complicate that with contracts. And so what we put together, and it has worked very well over the years, is anyone who gives us a chip for a consulting project, it might be, they might say, hey, Michael, this company has a need that I think you can help them with. And here's what I know about it. And I think this person might be the person to contact. If I were sitting in your chair, I'd say, great, we're going to chase that and see where it goes. And if we end up booking that consulting engagement, then whoever it was that gave us that tip automatically gets 10% of our professional fees off the top. Before we make the money, the 10% goes to them. It's like a commission, so, and it's just an automatic thing. It's paid to them. As soon as we get paid by the client, it's paid to them. And it just seems to work pretty well.